Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to another edition of Inside the News. For today, Saturday, November 18th, I'm German Abel sitting in again this week. Yes, it's a busy Saturday. You know, two cruise ships are in today, so the taxi and tour operators have their hands filled today. One of the big cruise ships are in, you know, you can see it coming into Bastille this morning. Yes, it's a pretty decent day out there, you know, not too hot, and it's not raining today, so it looks fairly well. We had a busy news week this week here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and we'll dive into some of what made the big news across the week. Yes, you know, when I'm sitting in the chair, we go beyond just the headlines and the news to see how what transpired for the week impacts you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis in general. So that's what we will do today. We are supposed to be joined by Mr. Craig Tuckett of the People's Labour Party, right? But he has not arrived just yet, so the program must go on. So we'll take a quick break, acknowledge our partners TDC and Cara Brewery, and then we'll come right back with more of Inside the News.
Are you tired of constantly having to repaint? Then it's time to level up your paint game with Harris Paints. With Quantum I-12 technology, Harris gives you better colors that last longer and takes less coats. So this Christmas, level up your savings with 15% off 1 and 5 gallons of top quality Ultima Plus available at TDC. Then, with each purchase, play the Harris mobile game for chances to win the grand prize of $3,000 cash. Now that's a level up only from Harris Paints.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
And we are back, and we're back here on Inside the News. Yes, it was a pretty busy news week across St. Kitts and Nevis, the region, and internationally. We know earlier this week the People's Action Movement held its press conference, and they discussed a number of topics. We also saw a statement from the police force that confirmed that former government minister Lindsey Grant was convicted on 2 charges. And then we saw, or at least sometime last evening, there was a circulation of a supposed letter concerning the citizenship by investment programs and some potential court actions and all of that. Across the region, we know the big issue, ongoing debate between Guyana and Venezuela over their border dispute down there. Both parties went to the ICJ earlier this week to discuss a number of those issues, and they were in court fighting and discussing all of that. And then internationally, the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia continues, and Israel and Hamas fighting there. And also we saw the United States Congress, actually both houses of the US government, actually was able to pass their spending bills to continue the government and prevent a government shutdown, which potentially could have impacted all of us here in St. Kitts and Nevis and across the Caribbean region. Then, President Biden signed that into law as well. So, but yes, so it was a pretty busy news week here in St. Kitts and Nevis and across the world. So there you had most of what we saw here in the news, which most of us cover on a daily basis. So, yes, so our guest has arrived and he's joining us in studio. So we'll take a quick break again to give him some time to cool down because it's a little warm outside, you know. Let him get accustomed to the AC, you know, get acclimatized, and then we'll continue with the program here on Win FM.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust. To secure your investment, you need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us.
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind.
You're always safe with us.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
And we are back here on Win FM this morning, and again, I'm German Able just sitting in today, and we're joined by Mr. Craig Tuckett of the People's Labour Party. Good morning, sir.
All is well?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Well, first again, let me say it's a pleasure to be here in the studios of Win FM, and I thank the management for giving me opportunity to share ideas, to discuss issues, and of course to address the issue in regards to the Newtown Fishers Cooperative Society, as we'll be having a very big event next week, Saturday. So, but I'll leave myself in your capable hands to take me down the road that you see best to carry me.
Okay, so first up, let me just say, when I'm here, I try to go beyond the talk of politics. You know, whatever topic we're discussing,
Yes.
we try to see how best we can see how every topic that we discuss
Yes.
impacts people in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yes.
Not just politics, because we can talk politics every day.
Yes.
That's the talk on the street. And solutions to deal with issues impacting
That
people in
is the
St.
point.
Kitts and Nevis.
Solutions.
Right.
And also recognizing that everyone is a citizen of this great country, even if they're residents, and I'm sure they love this great country, the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So I think everybody has a voice. Everybody should be allowed to share their ideas, to basically cry out against the issues that are the problems that they're facing. And I think the leaders should always be having their ears to the ground to address those issues. Because, again, the people are the voice of God, and the people chose the leaders that they presently have. And so the people demands what they need and what they should get, and I think all leaders should listen to them.
Okay, we had a busy news week this week, specifically. what are some of the issues that you and the People's Labour Party specifically, and I know some of them came up this week specifically, have been hearing from the people across St. Kitts and Nevis?
Well, first let me say that I recognize the fact that wherever I go, the People's Labour Party plays part and parcel of my image as the deputy leader of the great party that was established some 10 years ago. And the party has indeed played a very pivotal role in the development of this great federation of ours. It is through this party that we have our third Prime Minister in the person of Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. And so we know our role and our responsibilities in regards to putting people first and making sure that we address their concerns and their issues in all spheres of the public. As you well aware, that we always have a press conference. We're hoping to have one this month to address all of those concerns and issues that were raised. And if you were to consider the previous press conferences we've had, 2 in total, we have addressed a lot of the issues that are being basically shouted by the people on the road and in the various talk show radio programs. And we continue and will continue to address those issues. But in regards to me now as the deputy political leader, we have one of the major issues that I think people are waiting to hear. When are we going to get double salary? When are we going to get the dividend for this upcoming season that we are always expecting every year? December, as we know, is not only Carnival, but also Christmas, a time of giving. And so we are waiting to see if the present administration will do the right thing, as was championed by our political leader and the former Prime Minister, Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris, last week. And we will basically listen with bated breath to see what the decision will be.
On that note, yes, that's the talk on the street right now.
That is the
Everybody
talk.
wants to know whether or not there will be a double salary. But there's also the discussion as well that the government would have spent a lot of money throughout the year in terms of the whole reset and all of this, and they give the $1,000
Reset?
and so forth. That's quote unquote the reset, right?
But have we seen the reset? Have the people felt the reset? I'm just asking. I don't know what is the word reset. What is the policy that has been implemented thus far in regards to the reset? We've seen maybe one payment. How much payments? I think 2 or one payment.
Well, under the reset, there was $1,000.
One payment.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 2. One payment. Okay, of $1,000 across the board for everybody.
It's the independents, everybody who pays Social Security. Yes.
Okay. And we also understand that a part of that reset, which we heard the new gen Labour Party said, that they would give $1,500 in regards to the PAP, the Poverty Alleviation Program. And I think that's a major reset that should have been implemented, because our party during the campaign said we would increase it from 5 to 1,000. So I don't know if the reset and the dividend is the 1,000. I don't know. I don't know if the 1,500 is waiting. I don't know if the double salary will come. But we will see. People are waiting. November soon finish. December is around the corner. We have VAT days on the, I think it's the 16th and 17th. I'm not sure.
15th and 16th.
Oh, 15th and 16th. See, but people want money to spend on the VAT day.
Yeah, but I understand all of that.
Okay.
But my question is though, and the concern from some in society is that even though people are accustomed to the double salary,
Yes.
right? There's
The
this
most they ever
discussion-
get during 2015 to 2022, I must say. I mean, it was introduced in the previous administration under the second Prime Minister, Dr. Denzel Douglas, in some way, but the people have expected and have
Yes, but two
received the
things.
benefits
Two things on
of
that.
double salary
Two things on that.
during that
Right.
period. Yes, go ahead.
One, we saw what happened throughout this year. Do you think it's fair that even though the government gave the quote unquote 1,500, or some got 1,250, right? That all of the monies that were being spent in terms of this quote unquote reset, that it is still fair that the government gives that, even though they're giving some concessions and so forth?
Well, this is the thing. Leadership is about planning and not just doing things for political expediency. You have to know the people. You have to know your culture. You have to know your country. And one of the things that people expect is double salary at December time. So they could, bring home some of the family, pay the tickets, sometimes buy big gifts, maybe even go for a travel, maybe even go into a troop. Carnival. December is the year where people revel and basically ease off of the whole year of work and all the stresses. December is Christmas and Carnival. So as a leader, if I was Prime Minister, I would have do two things. One, if I have this planned reset, I would have looked at what people are expecting and what they love. I would have looked at how the economy was impacted by a double salary every year during the month of December. And then I would have made the decision, of course with my cabinet, hopefully, that, hey, the best thing is to not only give the dividend, which seemingly was a big idea and a big I didn't really hear it during the campaign, but it was a big idea. And so also to create that type of stimulation to the people, stimulus to give them their double salary in December. That is what they expect. That is what they need. And so to say about fear, it is more than fear. It is what is expected. And what the people want is what the people should get, reasonably, of course. And I think this is a reasonable expectation.
But equally, we've spent $27 million thus far.
Wow, how come?
Of this whole $1,000 that I was given out earlier this year. Then we still have the dividends and so forth. So it's just against that backdrop that some are saying that it would not necessarily be fair to, in light of all that was spent, to give that double salary at the end of the year, even though it's an expectation. But on that note, there's also some concern and recommendations that instead of just giving the double salary, that you give people the increase, and this was, I suspect this was something
minimum
under the
wage?
former administration. Hold on, whether or not it be a 5% salary increase, which will then be felt over the subsequent months and the year. So if now you're saying, okay, we give you a 5% salary increase for December, whether or not it be retroactive, that's another discussion. But going forward, people will be feeling that on their salary rather than a one-off payment.
But our administration during the 7 years did that. We gave an increase and still gave a double salary. So if you're saying that this new administration, who said they had the answers during the campaign, they said they are the leaders for tomorrow or even today, and they said they would promise a better way, a better life for the good people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and now they can't do what the previous administration did?
When was that increase given?
You don't know?
When was that increase given?
You don't know?
When was that increase?
You are the one who are the journalist. And that's another thing I realize. The journalists needs to do more work. They are the voice to ensure that we, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, have the truth. And also to remind them of what happened in the past, where we are in the present, and where we should be in the future. So I give you that challenge. You check that out.
You brought it up, so I was just trying
No,
to
you check. I leave that for you. The people know, though. The people know. The people are aware. The people are listening. The people remember well. That's why they say, double salary now. And that's why our leader, the very generous leader, the caring leader for this country, said, not being political, just advising the great people of St. Kitts and Nevis, remember what you had. And also advising the government, do the right thing. Try your best. You said that things were good. There was a lot of money in the treasury. You said you would do things to better tourism. You said you would do things to upgrade the CBI program. You said that the CBI program is all well and good. That's why you're giving the dividend. Then use the proper decision-making processes and give what the people need and what the people expect. And that is the double salary in December.
Okay, let's not dwell quickly a lot on this stuff.
No,
because
no.
I have some others
Of course.
to talk about. Also, we saw this week that a number of criticisms are being leveled specifically at the Citizenship by Investment program, especially under the tenure of the former administration, which was a tri-party government. Do you think, firstly, that it's fair that the former administration is getting a lot of criticism for how it handled that program?
Well, again, this is the thing that we want journalists to do in terms of their homework, in terms of the history. Remember, prior to 2013, 2014, well, not even prior, around that time, the CBI program was in a mess. It was on the decline. We had U.S. government advisory against us. We had the loss of the free entry into Canada, free visa entry, and all of that impacted negatively on the program. And then when our leader and Prime Minister and Minister of Finance came into the fore of governance, he did one, established a forum that was national, involving all the stakeholders, and then we addressed the issues. How can we solve them? So he didn't just make a decision on his own. He involved his cabinet, he involved the stakeholders within the federation, and they came up with a strategy. That strategy saw the CBI program being hailed as the number one in the world, bringing in great revenues for our country to the benefit of our social programs, such as the poverty alleviation program, such as the STEP program, which was formerly PAP, or PEP. And then we had also the opportunity to establish new programs, such as the Peace program, that helped the decline in murders and other related crimes. So I say this to you. Remember always where we came from. Remember where we are now. Is it fair to say that there's need to be any criticism at all about the former administration's management of the CBI program? And where are we now? Is the program any better? Is the program increasing in revenue? Is the program still number one in the region? I'm a nationalist, and I am one who believes that the program is a very important integral part of our transformational development of our economy. And we need to protect it, and we need to also manage it well. So I do not believe, bearing in mind what we have come from and where we are now, that any criticism of the management of CBI program from 2015 to 2022 is unwarranted. But what we need to do now is this: find out from the present administration what's going on. And that seems to be elusive. We can't get any information. One time they say it's good, then they say it's not good. One time they say, yes, we're going to refund people based on certain decisions that were made. I won't go into it. But then another time, people still balling, so they ain't getting no money. They ain't get refunded. So this is affecting our credibility as a sovereign nation. This is affecting our economy. This is affecting our good name. Remember where we came from. Remember when we had the bad name, Devil's Island? Don't forget those things. And then what we had, the pride is back. People held their chests high, their heads high, traveling all over the world and being respected as a member state of the world, because we're not just small, but we tolerate. But what are we doing now? What are we hearing now? What are we seeing now? This is the question that needs to be asked. Any government who continues looking back and blaming the previous administration about things, they are not the right government for you. We need to put this administration feet to the fire and ask them, what are you doing for me? What have you done for me lately? Well, I can't even say what have you done for me lately, because people are saying, well, nothing has been done. You take away 500 from some people. You promised 1,500 to the people. You didn't give that, which is a monthly thing, but then you give me $1,000 once a year, once a month. I don't know. What? You tell me. So to answer your question, clearly, any criticism levied against the former administration in regards to the management of the CBI program is unwarranted. And what we need to do is look at what's happening now.
Okay, two questions while we're on the CBI program. One, I was sent a letter. I don't know how credible it is, but I was sent a letter that said that you guys were at least two representatives or one representative of the People's Labour Party was notified or it served as a notice about a possible investigation into the CBI program. Do you care to comment on that? And did you guys receive the letter?
No, I have no knowledge about any such letter. I can't speak to that. But it's strange. If there's any investigation, they should have been done a year ago. Well, let me not say that. Let me take that back. We have been hearing from the then opposition and now government about investigation.
But
We're still waiting.
Just let me qualify that. It's from a private entity.
Oh, it's not from the government? Well, I don't know. The government has no carriage of the CBI program. They, for over a year, have all the information. They are the ones who are supposed to be answering any questions. And I remember when the journalists asked questions in regards to it, the journalists them say that the answer was not really answered. The question wasn't really answered. So what am I to do? Am I to address the issue about the CBI program for a government that is in power for over a year and has carriage of it and saying to the people, it's in good, it's good, everything is well. So if everything is well, I don't have nothing to question. I don't have nothing to answer. Everything is well.
Okay, so just let me clarify.
Okay.
Is it a case that you're saying that you're not aware of this letter, or it's a case where the party or its representatives was not aware of this letter?
I can't answer that. That's why I said I have no knowledge. I can't answer that question. But what I would say is this. If there's any call for investigation, why don't the government take it up? Why don't the government address it? The people have been asking about it for so many times. But the funny thing about it, truth be told, you tell me yes or no, wasn't there a lot of information given by the former Prime Minister and former Minister of Finance more to the people in the past than now? That's the question that needs to be answered. Would you, as the good people of St. Kitts and Nevis, I'm asking you the question, how many times do you have press conferences, leadership matters, cabinet press conferences? You had for the first time a conference on CBI program in St. Kitts and Nevis. Have we seen that from since? So it's I don't understand what people are saying. They're saying that information wasn't given, but they always had information given to them. And whenever questions were asked, they were answered. So what else I can say? I don't know.
Okay, my final question on the CBI program for now. There's some concern. I think the last budget under the former Prime Minister.
I'm looking forward to this budget. I'm looking forward to this budget.
I actually have a budget question for you, but that's a little bit later.
Yes.
But under the former administration, the CBI program roughly brought in about, and this was the last budget under the former administration, it was about $500+ million. Right. There were a number of social programs that were being. And this might not
sorry, before you continue, make that clear. Was that for 2021?
That would be that would be 2021.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's just say the last budget under the former administration.
Which would have been answer the question for me before I answer it.
Right.
What is the amount that was gained in 2022 based on the budget?
I don't have that figure.
That's strange.
I don't have the figure at hand.
Okay.
So that's why I can't answer that question.
People are talking about no information, but I don't. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
But my question is, a lot of the revenues on the citizenship by investment, and we heard it from this current Prime Minister, that some of it is costing us roughly half of that. How best do you think that we can work around the CBI program for it not to be the major staple for a lot of these social programs? And would you agree that a lot of these social programs probably would need to be shrinked?
You see, people need to remember why we had these. Why our Prime Minister then and leader of the People's Labour Party introduced these social programs. We had a poverty percentage that was out of control. Don't ever forget that. There was a report given about the poverty level in St. Kitts and Nevis under the former administration, and speaking about under the former Prime Minister and the former old Labour. I don't know, I can't say new Labour, old Labour. And it was staggering. And that administration did not do anything. And because our leader is a caring leader as he is, a lover of the poor, or let me not say poor, the lover of those who are in need, decided that we do need to give the people a tap up. We do need to take care of the people. And that is why we had so many programs. Of course, we know about the PAP. Of course, we know about the STEP. Of course, we know about the Fresh Start through the Development Bank. Of course, we know about the Peace Program. But we did a lot of work through the social department. Gave a lot of help to single mothers. Gave a lot of opportunities to them, not only through sustaining them financially, but also through acquiring land and houses. This was the work that was done for the past 7 years, from 2015 to 2022, under our third Prime Minister and leader of the People's Labour Party. So I say that to say, social programs are important. We are not a capitalist economy. We are a social nation where we take care of those who are in desperate need. And so it takes prudent and fiscal management of all the resources so that we can ensure that the people are taken care of. Because remember, the people are the economy, Once you take care of the people, the economy will blossom. If you don't take care of the people, then the economy will wither away. And so, again, to answer your question, all governments has a responsibility to take care of the people. They always like to say, oh, we love the people, people first. But you can judge them based on their policies and their utterances and their decisions. And then you tell me, when the next 5 years come around, or 4 years, will you vote for them again? That is the question that needs to be answered.
Okay, well, thanks for that response to the question. But we have to take a quick break now, and then we'll come back with more inside the news.
Education. TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment.
People make the world go
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly. Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid.
50,000?
50,000?
$50,000? Win big with TDC! Win up to $50,000 cash in the TDC Mega Rewards Mega Raffle! To enter, you must be a Mega Rewards member or sign up to TDC Mega Rewards Loyalty Program. Shop at our TDC retail stores or online at shoptdcgroup.com to receive one entry for every $250 spent. Draws take place from July to November. Win $10,000 every month with your entry rolled over so you can win, and win even more.
Yes, this is 50.
Terms and conditions apply.
People make the world go
And we're back. We're back here on Inside the News. We're having a conversation with Craig Tuckett. Yes, the famous Craig Tuckett.
No. Just a humble guy trying to serve the people. That's all. That's all.
Yes, we have the humble Craig Tuckett in studios with us. But yes, so he's just giving us an insight from the position of the People's Labour Party in terms of what some of the issues are in St. Kitts and Nevis, and he's addressing some of it from the perspective of the People's Labour Party, as well as he's going to also give us some insight in terms of the fishing sector and the fisheries agency that he's in connection with.
Yes.
But before that, though, he continue with the discussion. So, Mr. Tuckett, I want to get from you. We're in the budget cycle right now.
Yes.
What would you and the People's Labour Party specifically want to see be included in the budget for 2024?
Okay. Well, I wouldn't want to answer that question because I would leave that for my leader when he appears not only for our press conference that is scheduled for this month, but also in his presentation in the Parliament. So I will leave that there. But there are indeed a lot of issues that we think needs addressing. And I mean, the people themselves are asking. I mean, if you just listen to the radio programs, the people are not afraid anymore, which is interesting. We have even members or supporters of the Labour Party coming out on their own radio station, basically criticizing the administration. And that is what a true democracy is about. And so all I'm saying, if a leader truly listens to the people and also puts into place the concerns and also the ideas and solutions that they are proposing, you will see the people and the nation happy. But when you continually ignore them and treat them like a 5-year puppy, that every 5 years you just treat them and that's it, then you will see the end of that behavior, which is unacceptable.
We're seeing them doing consultations. Today is the 18th of November, right? The government started consultations sometime last month or earlier this month.
You mean the one they had?
They started consultations.
No, yes, but you see, you have to be fair. You mean the one that they did the other day? Okay, good. Okay, they started consultations. Very well.
Yes.
Okay.
But do you think it's fair for them to start consultations at this point in time,
in November,
ahead of the budget, when the whole discussion surrounding budget begins in September?
Well, that's the point, and I'm glad you, as a journalist, are highlighting this charade. Remember, and it's important for everybody to understand how the preparation for budget is done. I would say since August, each department in their respective ministries put forth their policy, well, in this case, their programs, their projects that they have planned for the new budgetary year. And then it is compiled based on the departments in the particular ministry, and the PS is supposed to, well, this is how we used to do it. That's the funny thing about it. This is how we used to do it under the leader and our former Prime Minister. He used to then have consultation with the cabinet and the officials and the head officials of the Ministry of Finance. And the permanent secretaries used to come and discuss what they would like to do and why they should get the budgetary requests that they have asking. And they have to have presentations. To date, we have not heard of that up to now. There is a difference in management and leadership, clearly. And when you do it that way, the way how our Prime Minister, former Prime Minister and leader did it, the public sector will feel important. They feel that their ideas matter. And then once you have a invigorated public sector, then you have an invigorated economy, because they are giving service to the public. And that will then spread into the private sector. And the private sector will want to do better. And the private sector will indeed help by giving proper service to the people. And when we have that, you have a trickle-off effect where the country is doing well. But unfortunately, difference in leadership, difference in management, and therefore we are seeing the repercussions of that. So to say to your answer again, you're right. I mean, you're the one who brought it up. It is a charade. It is a charade. They had one. Ain't even about really truly about the budget. It's about the ideas that they want to implement. It's a top-down approach. Whereas we saw an up-down, a grassroots approach to leadership and to management, and we saw the benefits of that in our country, especially during the time of COVID. Imagine that. What we were able to do during a very tough time that many countries in the world faltered, even big countries, went to the ground. But we, on the proper leadership and management, saw the benefit of that.
Was the opposition, the three opposition parties, consulted in the budget preparation?
Nope. Well, no, I can't answer for the three. Well, I could say for the People's Labour Party. Nope. And is there an opposition?
You should tell me that.
Well, I don't know. We have a very unique Westminster system. You have a government which is based on electoral elections. So you have a constituency, and that person who wins in that particular constituency becomes a part of the majority, and then the majority decides who becomes the Prime Minister. Those who do not get the majority And then you have someone who's chosen or appointed as the leader of the opposition, leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition, the word, loyal opposition. And they are supposed to champion the cause, keep the government feet to the ground. Have we seen that for the past year? Is this what we have come to in St. Kitts and Nevis? This is our democracy? So I say to answer your question, no. As far as the People's Labour Party, we have not been consulted, we have not been invited. And our leader, I'm sure, will deal with that in the right way and in the various forums that he will have to address those issues.
But my question to you on what you mentioned there is, why isn't the opposition keeping the government's feet to the fire, of which the People's Labour Party has a sitting representative in?
Well, can't you see? Our leader, the People's Labour Party, is championing the cause. We're the ones who are out there more than any other. We're the ones who are having press conferences. We're the ones who are giving press releases. We're the ones who are having press statements by our leader, addressing every issue that are affecting the people. We are the true opposition. We are the true opposition in two ways. We got the second most votes, more than CCM, more than NRP, more than People's Action Movement. We are the choice of the people.
So is there friction within the opposition?
I can't say that. I cannot say that. I won't say that. What I will say is that in regards to who is putting the people issues first in the public and who are keeping the feet of this administration close to the fire, we are doing so.
There's a question that has been circulating for quite some time. This government is in office for a year.
And
just over a year.
Thank you.
Right. But we have not seen any statutory committees within the government, within the parliament being established, especially the Public Accounts Committee. Right. Why is that?
You asking me? Why is that? You should ask them. Don't you invite them to come on your show and talk to the people?
They do come on, but I don't sit in those programs. But my question to you is the opposition, is the PLP pushing for the enactment of the to get these committees, the statutory regulations to get these committees established?
If you listen very closely to the presentations of our leader in Parliament, you will always hear him lament about this fact. And it is important to note that we are ready to work for the people. We are ready to take this situation of mismanagement, of lack of leadership, and turn it around for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. But the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and maybe I say it, and Nevis, have to make a decision. And when the time is close upon us, when the time is come, we have to make the right choice. And so our leader has been doing it. We have been trying our best to liaise with the parliamentary, in this case, will be the speaker, and the clerk in regards to these issues, and we will continue to do that. But it's a very important point you have observed. Why is it that they continue to flout?
So
and this is something that Labour is accustomed to that. We didn't have a deputy speaker for so many. So I mean, it just can't we learn? Let's we forget as a people the history. Once you understand a person or organization, and you see how they act when they're given opportunity, you think they're going to change next year or 10 years from now? It's the same thing.
But why or what are the procedures in order to enact these subcommittees in Parliament? Because I know, I think it was last year.
The leader of government business is the one, along with the Prime Minister, to liaise with the clerk, who then will officially, through correspondence, inform the leader of opposition that they are ready to establish these committees. The leader of the opposition should have a discussion or caucus with the other members who are in the opposition side, and then make a selection of who will fill those positions. But for some reason, I don't know what, I don't know if there's a lack of maturity, I don't know if there's a lack of understanding of what the process is, I don't know if it is just don't care, as we've seen in the past, this has not been done. But the People's Labour Party is ready to serve the people. This is a part of serving the people, doing the people's business, not just standing up, coming to Parliament and having a free-for-all talk and political touting. No, it's about doing the work in the committees as well. So if you are committed to really serve the people, implement all the committees and do it now.
But I know, and this has been discussed for quite some time in the public's domain, that when you were in government at the time, a lot of the teeth from the opposition's perspective in the Public Accounts Committee would have been removed. Do you think that that's a fair assertion now that PLP is part of the opposition and seeking to get information?
Ask the question again.
Do you think it's a fair criticism that now that the PLP is in opposition, that the changes that were made to the Public Accounts Committee and some of these other committees while you were in government has removed the teeth from a lot of the committees in Parliament as opposition?
No, I wouldn't say that. What I would say is that under our administration, our leadership, we have seen that all aspects of the Constitution, all aspects of the Parliament were implemented. Those that was not implemented before were implemented. We had a deputy speaker, we had all the committees, and we also placed on the table in the Parliament the accounts for 2 or 3 years. More than that, I think. And so, contrary to what has happened in the past and what we are seeing now, that is the critical aspect of what the people of St. Kitts and Nevis need to address. We have seen how the all labor is labor, even though we are labor, but we are a different type of labor. How labor acted in the past and how they are acting now, it is the same. And so, how can you criticize someone when you did the same or worse in the past and still doing it now in the present? It can't be. That is more than unfair. It is crazy. It's like we have forgotten the past. We have forgotten what we went through. We have forgotten what we rejected in 2015. And now we're accepting this new gen, but we are seeing them acting as they have done in the past in 2014 and 13 and before. So again, the people may have made a decision. The people may have indeed decided that they want something new, and now they're having it. So we, as the People's Labour Party, will continue to say to the good people of St. Kitts and Nevis, well, you now have this, but remember what you had, and this is not what is deserving of you. We can provide something better. As we did for 7 years, we could even surpass that because that was under a coalition. And you know how difficult it is sometimes to get things done under a coalition. But this time, we will be able to do it as a collective unit of a homogeneous party working together under one leader so that we can work for the people, following our motto, putting people first.
Okay, let's jump quickly to the fisheries co-op and so forth that you were part of. Give us some information on that.
Well, okay, so I have always been a part of the agricultural sector. I am from Newtown, as you know, and so Newtown is where I come from. And even before the Newtown Fishers Cooperative, which was the first fishing cooperative in existence in St. Kitts and Nevis, and it was also the first agricultural-based cooperative in existence in St. Kitts and Nevis. So it's the oldest in St. Kitts and Nevis. But before that, or will I say after that, I was involved in the establishment of the St. Kitts Fishing Cooperative Society. I was the first president, and I was actually the founding member. I gathered the farmers together and established that cooperative, and it's still active up today. So I took up leadership of the Newtown Fishers Cooperative Society in 2019, and we reestablished the structure of the co-op. And we started to see the co-op growing in leaps and bounds by having activities. Last year we had our first fish fry. Well, it was called the Fish Fest, really. It was in Easter Monday. And then we had on Sunday the 16th of October, which happened to be World Food Day, the first annual East Bass Day fishing tournament. And so we also established a cooperative that increased in membership. On the books, we have about 83 members in total. That makes us the largest cooperative unregistered well, not registered, but in existence. And we also have activities that will now happen this year with the second annual Newtown Fishers Cooperative East Bass Day Fishing Tournament, which will happen on Saturday, next week Saturday, the 25th of November, right there at the Bass Day Fisheries Complex, starting from 12 and ending at around 12:01 in the midnight. We'll be having entertainment by EK, The Rail is Right, Sister Sensei, DJ Sparry of Hellfire Sound, and also we have Small Axe Band. We'll be a lot on food, seafood on sale, fish, lobster, not shrimp, but fish, lobster, conch water. We will also be having a lot of opportunities for you to see the fishers bringing in their catch, and you can purchase fresh catch on the day. So we have first and second prize for mahi mahi. So you have the largest mahi mahi or the second largest. Mahi mahi, tuna, wahoo, barracuda, and we have a category called bellfish, which is the swordfish, or you have swordfish, you have also, so it's a category called bellfish. You have swordfish, and you also have other types of fish that comes into that sector. So you have first prize is $1,200, second prize $600, and the overall catch. So whoever comes in with maybe 300, 400 pounds, you get another first prize of $1,200. We have a lot of sponsorship, of which we must give thanks to. Some of them don't want to be known, but we have to make recognition to Sagicor, National Bank, Development Bank, First Caribbean, also First Federal Cooperative, and also we have individuals who basically gave sponsorship to sponsor a particular prize, and they said they don't want to be recognized. But we thank you, all of you who have been true sponsors from since last year to this year, and we will continue to having this event every year. So come out, one and all. It's a family event. We're going to have vendors as well. So if you don't want just fish food, you have also chicken, pork, even though it's a fishing event, but we try to cater for all. So come out and have an enjoyable time right there at the Bass Day Fisheries Complex next week, Saturday, the 25th of November, starting promptly at 12, right down to the end.
Okay, we have a couple of minutes left.
Oh my.
Yeah, about 2-3 minutes left. Okay, so what makes this event different from the others that we've been seeing around? I know there was one somewhere in the countryside.
Yes.
Bay. So what makes this one so different?
Well, and I want to also congratulate the Deep Bay community, this Capisteer community project and community development group. They've been basically doing a lot of work in having this type of fishing tournament in Deep Bay. But the difference is that we have more entertainment. That's basically it. Also, we have a venue that is conducive for total enjoyment, where you can actually see when the fishes come in, you can actually see the weighing of the catch. So it's not bad off where persons are not allowed to come. You can actually go right there and see the fish itself, and even decide to offer a payment to the fisherman for the particular catch. So it's more inclusive, it's more hands-on, and it's more entertainment. That's the difference.
Why is this in activities like these important, not just to the broader St. Kitts and Nevis, but to the individual communities and the fishing sector?
Well, for instance, in our event, a lot of the vendors are from our community. That's one. It highlights the fishing community, how important it is for our economy and also for our food source in terms of protein source. It gives also the fishers an opportunity to enjoy what they do by getting a possible prize. So it's incentive, and at the same time, it's a family affair, it's a community affair. So it's something that we all need to participate, to support, because all of the revenues that are generated for these events, we give back to the community, and we also give back to the fishing community. For instance, we continually support every year the Tucker Clark Primary School. We intend to also expand our philanthropy to other primary schools in the East Bass Day area. And also we help back by giving back to the fishers who are in need. Some fishers who may be suffering from illness, we try to help their families, and we also help them in any other expenses that they may have due to health or to other challenges that they may have. So we give back. So it's not about making money, it's not a money affair, it's not the money goes into any one of the executive board members' pockets. No, we have principle of giving back, and it's a community affair.
Well, there you had it, St. Kitts and Nevis, the event is this weekend, not today, but
Next weekend.
Saturday coming, the 25th in East Bastille. Well, there you had it. That was Craig Tuckett. Hopefully, I can convince him to stay for the second hour, but that's up to him.
You want me to stay for the second hour? Bye, no problem at all. Give me an opportunity to promote the event even more.
Well, there you had it. That was Deputy Leader of the People's Labour Party, Craig Tuckett. They're giving us a bit of insight in terms of, the People's Labour Party as well as the Fish Festival next weekend. But we have to break now for the midday news, and then when we return, we will continue the discussion with Mr. Tuckett in terms of the national development, and then he gave us some more on the Fish Festival. But in the meantime, you're here in tune to Win FM.
Found the sound. 98.9 Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Delisle Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Bastille in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com. or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With the WINNFM Midday News, I am Kevon Brown. Our top stories. St. Kitts Nevis to commemorate World Fisheries Day with week of activities focused on sustainable fishing. Alliance for Change in Guyana calls for visa requirements for Venezuelans. CARICOM leaders reach understanding in Saudi Arabia after summit in Riyadh. Internationally, the United Kingdom's medical regulators approve gene therapy to cure 2 blood disorders. Now the details. According to the St. Kitts Nevis 2023 Voluntary National Review, the fisheries industry contributes 0.5% of the Federation's gross domestic product. The importance of the blue economy as a potential economic driver for St. Kitts and Nevis and other countries surrounded by water continues to be a talking point as small island developing states transition to self-sustainability. The fisheries sector contributes billions in revenue for more prominent countries, especially countries known for seafood like Japan and South Korea, and provides millions of people with job opportunities. Caribbean islands have been trying to take advantage of the waters and resources available in these exclusive zones to drive revenue generation and job opportunities, while sustaining the resource of the blue economy. On November 21st, World Fisheries Day is celebrated worldwide to highlight the importance of sustainable stocks of fisheries in the world, strengthening human rights for small-scale fishing communities, making an actual difference in the working conditions of fishing communities, and eliminating illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing according to the United Nations. The theme for this year's observance is Casting the Net. In an address from the Fisheries Minister, the Honourable Samuel Duggins, in observance of World Fisheries Day 2023, announced a week of activities, slated from November 18th through 25th in St. Kitts and Nevis. The minister highlighted that the blue economy is integral to ensuring the Federation's contribution to the CARICOM 25 by 25 agenda.
Caribbean leaders have been meeting in the Saudi Arabian capital, with leaders there in the first summit between Saudi Arabia and CARICOM nations. The Riyadh Caribbean Summit is the latest alliance that Saudi Arabia has built with countries around the world to diversify its sources of income. Last week, Saudi Arabia hosted the Saudi African Summit, as well as an emergency Arab-Islamic summit on Gaza. The Caribbean leaders spoke about business and investments during Thursday's summit. The summit decided to promote trade and investment relations between Saudi Arabia and CARICOM by enhancing public-private partnership and business-to-business relations between both regions. The leaders also decided to cooperate in the development of sustainable and circular agriculture and in the promotion of sustainable food production, sustainable use and management of water resources, and promote trade and investment opportunities in food and agri-based industries. The summit was co-chaired by Saudi Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman and Dominican Prime Minister and CARICOM Chairman Roosevelt Skerritt. There was also agreement to promote the cultural and creative industries of CARICOM and Saudi Arabia through cultural festivals, art exhibitions, film festivals, workshops, book fairs, and other events.
The Minister of Fisheries et al., the Honourable Samuel Duggins, on World Fisheries Day and the St. Kitts Nevis Week of Activities in observance. In regional news, Alliance for Change in Guyana calls for visa requirements for Venezuelans, Guyana News source reports.
Well, as more Venezuelan migrants continue to make their way across the border into Guyana, and with the ongoing tension and Venezuela's aggression towards Guyana over the border controversy, the Alliance for Change has issued a call on the government to impose visa requirements on all Venezuelans wishing to travel to Guyana. During a press conference this afternoon, AFC chairman and opposition member of parliament Kathy Hughes said the government cannot continue to put the lives of Guyanese at risk, since it clearly has no plan as to how it will deal with the question of vetting those Venezuelans who are crossing over into Guyana. Mrs. Hughes said the government's lax behavior in dealing with the Venezuelan migrants has gone beyond worrying. She said while it is clear that the government might want to use Venezuelans for its own political ends, the safety and security of Guyanese must be paramount.
Since Venezuela has clearly upped the ante no Venezuelan migrants should be allowed to enter Guyana at any official port of entry or anywhere on our porous border crossings. That, like the Haitians, any other Venezuelans entering Guyana must be granted a visa prior to entering.
Well, the opposition member of parliament recalled that the government had a different approach to Haitians when they were coming to Guyana a few years ago and was quick to impose visa requirements. She also expressed worry over Venezuelan migrants being granted Guyana national ID cards.
There continues to exist too many loopholes in the system that the opposition must be invited to send a representative on the committee that the president referred to and to participate on all national committees and agencies dealing with this border controversy as we continue to promote unity on this issue.
According to the AFC chairman, it must be made clear that the AFC and the opposition are not against migrants coming to the country and is fully aware of the country's obligation under international law. But they believe that Guyanese must come first in light of the present circumstances.
We want to protect the human rights of any individual, including Venezuelans. But Guyana needs to start telling its people how many Venezuelans are here. Who are these Venezuelans that are here? Are they professional? Are they more sindicatos? The crime is worrying to people. How many of them are now in our school system? What is this costing our system?
Vice President Barra Jagdeo has long made it clear that the government has adopted a welcoming posture to Venezuelans coming here once they operate within the laws of the country.
CARICOM leaders reach understanding in Saudi Arabia after summit in Riyadh. Carib Update has that story.
Caribbean leaders have been meeting in the Saudi Arabian capital with leaders there in the first summit between Saudi Arabia and CARICOM nations. The Riyadh Caribbean Summit is the latest alliance that Saudi Arabia has built with countries around the world to diversify its sources of income. Last week, Saudi Arabia hosted the Saudi African Summit as well as an emergency Arab Islamic Summit on Gaza. The Caribbean leaders spoke about business and investments during Thursday's summit. The summit decided to promote trade and investment relations between Saudi Arabia and CARICOM by enhancing public-private partnership and business-to-business relations between both regions. The leaders also decided to cooperate in the development of sustainable and circular agriculture and in the promotion of sustainable food production, sustainable use and management of water resources, and promote trade and investment opportunities in food and agri-based industries. The summit was co-chaired by Saudi Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman and Dominican Prime Minister and CARICOM Chairman Roosevelt Skerritt. There was also agreement to promote the cultural and creative industries of CARICOM and Saudi Arabia through cultural festivals, art exhibitions, film festivals, workshops, book fairs, and other events.
We now bring you these international reports.
Now, in a world first, British regulators have approved gene therapy that aims to cure two blood disorders, sickle cell disease and beta thalassemia. Well, it's the first treatment to be licensed that uses a tool known as CRISPR, which can be used to correct faults in the DNA of cells, allowing them to produce hemoglobin. We're joined now by Zainab Garbasani. She is a trustee at the Sickle Cell Society charity. Welcome to you. Thanks very much for being with us. So just explain to us what this newly approved gene therapy means for those with sickle cell disease.
Hi, thank you. It's an exciting day for the sickle cell community. It means that we've got one more treatment in the pipeline. So unfortunately, for too long, people with sickle cell have only had a handful of treatments, and this is a potential for a cure. So really, really life-changing for our community.
So tell us about the potential cure then, what it's going to mean, what will this treatment involve?
Yeah, so at the moment, the only cure for sickle cell is a bone marrow or stem cell transplant, and you need a match donor. And unfortunately, there's just not enough match donors, so many people aren't actually eligible for this. This new treatment means that actually you don't need a match, or you don't need a donor. Through your own genes, some incredible science can be done. That means that it can be edited, and you can have a cure just through that instead.
And how long does this take? What's the cost?
So costs are in the millions at the moment, but this is just first really exciting, the fact that this is even a potential at the moment. There will be some conversations, and the conversations have already started about actually how do we finance this and how do we bring down some of those costs, just to make sure it's as accessible as possible for as many of our community. And that is something that we're now going to have to really be thinking and focus on going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, isn't it? That kind of money for millions for one person to be treated. Is this something that you think the NHS will be able to go ahead with? How will they decide who gets this treatment?
Well, there's really big, important decisions that will have to be made going forward. But at the moment, the biggest challenge that we have is the fact that sickle cell was the first genetically defined condition there is, but unfortunately still to this day there's only been a handful of treatments. So actually just having an extra treatment, extra opportunity is a huge thing, and hopefully it will drive more innovation and more research in this area. There will have to be some decisions and some conversations that will be had around how do we make sure it's accessible, not just in the UK, but I'm sure globally we're going to have to start thinking about how do we get this life-saving treatment in the hands of as many people as possible.
The US has joined the United Nations in warning Israel that its agreement to allow 2 fuel tankers a day into Gaza doesn't go far enough. They say more is needed to avert a humanitarian crisis. Israel says it is taking action so that power can be restored to essential services such as water pumps, the sewage system and communications. Israel's bombardment of Gaza has continued with a Hamas-controlled health ministry saying at least 26 people have been killed in the southern city of Khan Yunis. Our correspondent Tom Bateman has more.
Palestinians wait, desperate for bread. The UN says people are facing the immediate possibility of starvation after the supply chain for aid collapsed due to the lack of fuel. Bakeries and wheat mills have been cut off from power. The delivery of fuel is the most critical need for the people of Gaza. The humanitarian crisis has deepened amid Israel's near total siege. Now, it says, under US pressure, it will allow in 2 trucks of fuel per day. But aid agencies say that's still nowhere near enough. The international pressure is growing to get aid in. The situation is most dire in the north, with a critical lack of food and clean water. The risk of disease is increasing, say aid groups. The UN's human rights chief has said that the fighting must halt.
These repeated calls by the global community must not be ignored, but implemented at once. There must be a ceasefire on humanitarian and human rights grounds and an end to the fighting, not only to deliver urgently needed food and provide meaningful humanitarian assistance, but also to create space for a path out of this horror.
Meanwhile, there are growing worries about the potential for a total security collapse in Gaza, with few signs of a plan after the fighting. The US says it doesn't want Israeli boots on the ground in the long term.
There may have to be a transitional period where their security is provided for Gaza. That's something that we have to look at. But when it comes to the future of Gaza, in our judgment, it has to be under Palestinian governance.
Meanwhile, in Israel, families continued their march from Tel Aviv, demanding the return of nearly 240 hostages held by Hamas. Their destination is the office in Jerusalem of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
7 of my family members are kidnapped in Gaza. My mother, my sister's husband and their children, who are 8 and 3 years old. A 3-year-old girl is in Gaza. My aunt and cousin who is 12. How can you put a price on a 3-year-old girl? We need them back now at any price.
Israeli airstrikes continue to pound Gaza, both in the north, where Israeli troops are on the ground, and in the south, which was supposed to be safer for residents. The staggering number of civilian deaths in Gaza continues to rise, with many remaining trapped under the rubble. Meanwhile, sporadic rocket fire from Gaza continued into Israel, with no reports of fatalities. 6 weeks on from the attacks by Hamas that sparked this war, no end is in sight to the fighting. Tom Bateman, BBC News, Jerusalem.
Liberia's President George Weah conceded election defeat on Friday following a tight race for the presidency. And that means former Vice President Joseph Boakai is set to take the reins. In a second round of voting, Boakai was leading with 50.9% on Friday, with nearly all the ballots counted.
Votes obtained 814,212.
That's a stark contrast to the last election in 2017, when global soccer legend Weah, buoyed by a wave of hope, trounced Boakai in the second round with 62%. But many have grown disillusioned with Weah since then, due to a lack of progress on his promises to stamp out corruption and raise living standards. Boakai's supporters danced in the streets on Friday night.
I'm so glad today to tell Liberian people thank you very much.
Boakai does, however, now inherit major national challenges. Poverty levels are high in a country still recovering from 2 civil wars and the Ebola epidemic that killed thousands. Shortly after results were announced, Boakai said, "We have a job to do," but added that first and foremost, we want to have a message of peace and reconciliation. That message, in a once volatile country, was bolstered by Weah's concession. Speaking on the radio, he said that he had congratulated Boakai on his victory, and that, "I urge you to follow my example and accept the results." Those comments stand out in Western Central Africa, a region that has seen 8 coups in 3 years and where elections are frequently contested in court amid accusations of fraud. Instead, the way has now been paved for Liberia's second democratic transfer of power in 7 decades, the first being when Weah swept to office 6 years ago.
Can the stock market rally last? I'm Lisa Bernhard with Reuters, and I'm joined today by Ross Mayfield of Baird. Ross, the S&P 500 is up 9% since late October, 17% for the year. November and December are typically good months for stocks, but of course, we know we've got a lot going on, a lot of variables. Can the stock market rally last? What do you think?
I think it can last, but you need follow through from earnings in 2024, and you basically need a soft landing in the economy. So as you mentioned, seasonality and sentiment were big assets coming into November. The market was basically coiled like a spring to have a short-term rally if there was some reprieve on rates, and we got that. To have a follow through and have this rally broaden out and kind of turn into a more cyclical bull market or a continuation of the one that started earlier this year, you do need follow through from the economy and earnings. I think it's possible. I think it's maybe even likely, but earnings are expected to grow double digits next year. You still have higher for longer interest rates. So as you mentioned, a lot of variables. The rally can continue, but you need follow through from the actual economy to sustain what we see so far this month.
You mentioned earnings, and we saw a lot of retail earnings this week. Gap today, the stock's up huge. What's been the key to retail earnings? What have investors specifically been looking for?
I think 2 things. I mean, at a macro 30,000 foot level, investors really care about consumer earnings because the consumer has been the driver of the economy so far. And there's been this looming question for 12, 18, 24 months of when is the consumer going to run out of steam? I think for individual companies, it's one, how well positioned are they for a downshift in the consumer? So maybe not an outright recession, but a belt tightening, maybe moving down in quality or price. Which retailers are best set up for that type of scenario if the consumer tightens the belt into 2024? And then how are you managing your inventory? This has been an insane 2 years for inventory management. The consumer has shifted from goods to services, and all across the board on big ticket, and now we're moving back down. So how companies have managed their inventory mix and what's on their shelves, and how they've gotten them to their stores, supply chain management as well, has been really key to which companies are able to beat, which companies are able to guide better, and that's what investors have really been looking for.
And guidance has also been mixed from companies. Has this been sector specific, company specific, and what does it portend?
Yeah, it has. There's been a wide dispersion on the guidance. So for the fourth quarter, the consumer discretionary sector has been probably the weakest sector as far as guidance. So it falls right into line with that. Is the consumer weakening? It's why some of these big retailers have been overly punished on, maybe beats and guiding lower, because there's this big looming question out there. So discretionary is in the crosswinds right now, and their guidance is proving it. But for the full year, discretionary has held up pretty well. Staples have held up pretty well. The two big standouts have been tech and industrials. Those are two of our favorite sectors. But the companies are guiding higher. There's optimism around different sub-industries within the sectors. And they're able to better withstand kind of a slowdown in the consumer as well.
How do higher for longer rates change the investing dynamic from the pre-pandemic days when we were at near zero rates?
Yeah, this is a tremendous question. I think it's the question that defines the next 5 to 10 years. No matter how many business cycles and recessions we go through, if we have this higher floor under interest rates and long-term interest rates, you're going to want to shift towards higher quality companies that are better able to self-fund, that have strong free cash flow growth, that aren't super reliant on tapping the debt markets every other year to fund their operations. The 2010s and the ZIRP era and the QE era allowed a lot of businesses that might not have otherwise been sustainable to survive and also to be stock market darlings at times. If there is a higher for longer era in interest rates and inflation, that is over, and the shift towards higher quality companies, pick your sector, pick your time of the business cycle, higher quality, better balance sheet management is going to be the thing that helps companies outperform. And maybe even having management that's been there before, not companies that were just founded in the last few years, but pre-GFC when rates were around where they are today. How did companies do then? Do they have the experience on the management team to survive?
You mentioned the consumer, all eyes on the consumer, and next week is Black Friday. Is this year's Black Friday going to be particularly scrutinized more than ever?
I think yes, it will be both Black Friday and the discounting that we see there, but also the holiday spending overall heading into the end of the year will be deeply scrutinized. Again, those consumer sectors have given pretty weak fourth quarter guidance overall. But I think the bigger question is not how does the consumer hold up into a holiday season where they'll probably spend, even if it's on credit or even if they're kind of scrounging at savings at that point. The question will be, how are consumers acting in Q1 of 2024? Because if the last gasp was the holiday season and then they really tighten the belt to start the next year, that's when you'll really start to see it in company earnings and guidance. If the consumer is in a better position than some might think, and if the labor market is actually the thing propelling the spending, then we wouldn't expect a big fall off in Q1 and Q2 of 2024. So I do think the holiday season is important to watch. What are companies doing on the discounting front in particular? But as far as consumer health, I think you're actually going to want to look out past the holiday season to get a better sense of what the consumer picture actually is.
You were listening to the Midday News on WINNFM 98.9. The headlines: St. Kitts Nevis to commemorate World Fisheries Day with week of activities focused on sustainable fishing. Alliance for Change in Guyana calls for visa requirements for Venezuelans. CARICOM leaders reach understanding in Saudi Arabia after summit in Riyadh. Internationally, the United Kingdom's medical regulators approve gene therapy to cure 2 blood disorders. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
People make the world go
welcome back to Inside the News here on Win FM. I'm German Abel sitting in today, and we're discussing national matters here, some of the biggest issues in the news for the past week, and we're joined by Craig Tuckett, the deputy leader of the People's Labour Party today. And he was here for the first hour as well, and he gave us he spoke to some of the national issues from the party's perspective and how that is some of the issues and challenges in St. Kitts and Nevis is impacting the people across the Federation. But we'll continue because he's here. We have him here maybe for another half an hour or so inside the news. But before we continue the discussion, we just need to acknowledge our partners who make the program possible, Carib Brewery and TDC, and then we'll jump right back into the program.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
It's TDC for me, TDC for we. Neighbor, partner, your family. The best is yet to come, believe me. Moving forward, moving with. Hey, TDC serve the nation with the best customer experience. TDC, you are the one for we. Happy anniversary. Together we succeed. Building on strong community. Pressing on word to one destiny. One love, one family. Together we succeed. Let the whole world see. Yes, this is 50.
People make the world go
And we are back. And as I said, we have Mr. Craig Tuckett with us.
Hello.
Yes, welcome back.
Thank you very
So, Mr. Tuckett, today is World Fisheries Day.
Mhm.
And we heard from the Minister of Agriculture in his speech. I don't know if you were able to hear a bit of it from the news earlier. But he is saying that 0.5% of the fishing sector contributes just about 0.5% our economy. What more you think that we could do to make this and the blue economy more, provide more of an impact rather to the local economy as somebody who's also on the fishing co-op?
Well, there are two things that we've been championing and been trying to give information or solution to the problems that we are having. Is one, we need to have more artificial reefs developed on the outskirts of our coastal waters. As you know, most of our fishing culturally was done by spear fishing, and then of course after we developed further, we did line fishing. But what we had was overfishing of the reef population, the fish population in those areas, and also we had issues of our local reefs or our natural reefs being destroyed. One by ships that are passing in the area, and two, because of I would say everybody knows about the climate change and how that is affecting the reefs, our local reefs. Some of our reefs are dying. And so we are trying to encourage the government to develop local reefs by you can do two things. You could strip all the paint and all the chemicals from off of old car or vehicles, and you can dump them in the areas that could develop local reefs, or local reefs through artificial placement of those old wreckages, or you can actually create or make concrete type reef barriers, and so that will create more of ecosystem for our fish population, giving them an opportunity to replenish in that area, and that will help with our fishing community. Secondly, we need to have more support for fishing cooperatives. I think it's important that the ministry recognize our fishing cooperatives, encourage fishers to become members of those corps, and develop the benefits that the government could provide to our fishers through the corps. And when we have that organization, then we will be able to have a development of the fishing community to the point where they see the benefit of being a part of the corp, and they see the financial benefit because we will be developing our own markets. For instance, the Bass Fishing Complex, of which I was the first general manager of, was developed by a grant given by JICA, which is Japanese International Cooperation Association, agency. So that was a fund given by the Japanese government. But that fishing cooperative was supposed to be run and managed by the Newtown Fishing Cooperative. But because, of course, we did not have the necessary structures, administration, and the capacity, we have not yet been given the opportunity to manage that institution, which is the Bass Fisheries Complex. So what I am trying to do through my leadership and with the leadership of the other members of the executive board is to, one, build our capacity, develop that relationship with the Department of Marine Resources, and having these type of events that we're having next week to encourage other members of the fishing community to become members of the corp, and then we will expand our capacity to say to the government, okay, we're ready now to manage the Bass Fisheries Complex as a nexus where all of our fishers can bring their stock, and then we can find not only local market, but also regional and possibly even international markets. Because as we know, there are other countries that are encroaching on our natural resources in the economic zone, or economic zone in terms of our oceans. And so because we are not really policing that, and because we are not getting the resources to necessarily police that issue, we're losing out on the possible major resources of the different types of pelagic or even fishing population that are out there for our benefit and also for the market externally into the region and also internationally. So those are just two of the things that I think we have been trying to promote through the Department of Marine Resources and by extension the government, and hopefully we'll have some kind of working relationship with them on that.
Specifically, what sort of resources, assistance does the fishing sector need specifically? Because I know we're in the budget cycle now. Mm-hmm. So, and I know the fishing sector, for example, needs assistance, as you would have mentioned. Mm-hmm. What are some, if you could give a couple of...
Well, we need more facilities like the Bass Fisheries Complex in other aspects, in other parts of the fishing communities. Dearborn needs one, definitely. Of course, we know we have a storage facility in Old Road, but that needs to be developed into a fishing facility where fishers can bring their catch, and also it can be marketed not only locally, but like I said, in neighboring islands. And we need to have more reefs developed. That's important, very important. I can't understate the importance of that. And because of our natural reefs are dying, we need to have artificial reefs, and we need to establish that quickly. And of course, for instance, we had a situation where we heard that some fishers were given some support, $5,000 or more. But again, there's no transparency as to how the selection was done. Again, a lot of these persons who would have gotten those are not members of corps. And so those are the things that we are saying. You're working outside of the organization that is established for the benefit of fishers, and that's creating division. And that's not in any way to the benefit of the fishing community. And so those things need to be addressed. And I suggest strongly to the government and through the ministry that you should work with the cooperatives, and it is through the cooperatives that we can see the development and advancement of the fishing sector.
Climate change, and you touched a bit on it a little while ago. I don't think a lot of people comprehensively understand climate change and its impact on St. Kitts and Nevis in general.
Right. Don't you feel the heat? Don't you feel the heat? Don't you feel the heat? I mean, that is climate change in effect. I mean, it's crazy what's going on out there. The place is hot. I mean, during this time, normally we will get our coldest season in October, November, December. But now it's looked like it's being pushed way back to January, February. And so these are the change. We're seeing the change in the climate cycle in terms of not only the rainy season, but our temperatures are rising, and the rising temperature in the oceans is affecting our fishing population, and that also affects the natural reefs that we have. So again, these are things that we need to address at the global or international level, such as the UN, such as the FAO, which is the Food and Agriculture Organization. At those levels where we as small developing countries, we need to make our voices heard and demand that changes into the behavior of the larger economies of this world, and enforce them to give more assistance to our countries so that we can better prepare, and also not only prepare but also come up with policies that will be able to help our sector and our community, because climate change is real, climate change is here, and it's no way seemingly to deter or to change our present situation unless we prepare for it. And we need to demand those bigger countries that are in fact affecting the global climate, that they have to play their part in changing their behaviors and also assisting smaller countries and economies like our own through financial support.
Because the Hydrology and Meteorology Center in Barbados, they basically suggested that, this heat is going to continue into the better part of the new year, probably January, February.
Yes.
Right. And I know, and you spoke about it, that the heat itself is impacting the fishing sector.
Yes.
But as we prepare for COP28, what would you prefer to see? What would you like to see CARICOM leaders, especially when we're speaking to the fishing sector here, get from the larger territories, the larger countries, the big emitters, to benefit? What would you want to see them return with some agreement or something that would benefit the fishing sector across St. Kitts and the wider Caribbean?
Investment in our infrastructure, investment in the technologies that will help the fishing industry, and also, for instance, it's strange, in our society, we have not yet heard of a canning industry in terms of sardines, in terms of any other type of pelagics, or in terms of storage. And so that is the type of infrastructural development that we need, investment into the infrastructure. Also, trawlers. We don't have much trawlers in our smaller Caribbean countries, such as the Leeward Islands or the OECS. And so we need that type of investment, because when we have trawlers, we can then go further out into the economic zone, get access to the tunas and to the pelagics that are out there, and then process them and canning them so that we can not only provide for our local market, but also in turn do some exporting to those countries that are actually in our economic zone and doing the fishing without our knowledge. As we know, Japan is a major, I don't want to say let's say a major player in the fishing industry. They are all over the world in the economic zones that we need to access. And so if we talk to them and say, hey, we need infrastructure development, we need more training, we need more technology so that we can access the great resource that we are not accessing right now because of our limitations, and then we can see the fishing industry going to the benefit of the fishers, financially and otherwise.
But some have been arguing, and this also goes to the agriculture sector as well, that sustainability is key, and not a lot of we're not being consistent in what we're putting out there. Mm-hmm. So you might come into this year with 200,000 tons of landings, but next year it's just about half of that, and then you're just not seeing that consistency. So even if we do, say we go into the canning business or the sardine business, that we're not getting that consistent catch to put out there. What would you like to see, whether it be from the government, and they can assist, but what would you like to see both government and private sector, what role would you like to see them play in this whole business of the fishery sector?
Well, we need the private sector especially to support local fishers. We find that, of course, there will be a lot of importation of certain types of fish that we don't necessarily have in our region, salmon, for instance. But we have replacements of those. We can more focus on mahi-mahi, and that is a species that is very prevalent in our waters. And so if we need to have investment into our fishing community, among the fishers, especially through the cooperatives by the government. One, through training. Two, through investment of access to microfinancing for their boats and advancement and development of new boats. We need to move away from the small fishing 12-foot, 13-foot, maybe 15-foot wooden type boats and go more to a larger 30, maybe even 50 type boats, and even to trawlers. So we need to expose our fishers to those opportunities. We need to afford them the opportunity through training or through exchange of technical support, and also the cultural exchanges through whether it be Taiwan or whether it be Japan or whether it be in Maine in the United States, where it has a large fishing community. That type of exposure would lead to development of the minds of our fishers, seeing the other opportunities that are there. And when we have the government providing those opportunities, then we will see the corps getting more involved to try to expose our members to those different technologies and also the different variety of business opportunities that they can get involved in. But it takes the government to see the importance of our people, especially in this particular sector, try to invest in them and provide them with the necessary resources. And it doesn't necessarily mean money. Of course, the development bank is there, and we can always try to ensure that the development bank is seeded with the amount of funding so that they can give the necessary support to the fishing community and also the agriculture community. But it needs to go beyond that. And I think that we've been asking for that for a long time, and hopefully we'll see that in the near future, whether it be next year or whether it be in 2027, who knows? We don't know.
But do you think we're educating the public enough on the blue economy and the benefits that it could offer to St. Kitts and Nevis and the people themselves?
No, I don't think people understand what the blue economy is. All people know that we want fish, and we'll eat fish from morning to night if needs be. We like seafood. We want to participate in getting the seafood. Some of us like the idea of even going on the bayfront and throwing a line, and that type of thing is important. But the understanding of the blue economy and what it can offer to our country as diversifying our economy, as persons are saying, well, we need to come off of the tourism, we need to come off of the CBI, then the blue economy is the way to go. But you need to educate the people from primary school up and always have a proper PR campaign that persons can be involved and have knowledge of what it's about, and you need to reach the people. Not a top-down approach that is being exhibited now. We need to a grassroots movement. We need to inform the people, hear their ideas as well. Maybe they have the solutions that we don't have. And then we'll be able to have a coming together of the people, understanding the importance of it, and then we'll see their advancement and involvement totally into this particular sector.
But I'm getting the feeling that it might be a similar thing that we see occurring in the agriculture sector, where it's not one of those things that people deem to be quote unquote. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say sexy, but that sort of sector.
Yes.
That is something that I want to go in because I'm not seeing it being something that's lucrative. Doctor, lawyers, probably teachers and so forth. Those are the areas that we would be pushing kids to go into.
Yes.
But we're not necessarily focusing on the importance of having my child go into the agriculture sector in terms of farming. And I'm getting that similar feel from the fisheries sector as well.
Well, again, it's about choice. Any government needs to offer to its people various choices so that they can sustain themselves and their family. In the end, it's about choice. But if you don't educate them and offer them the choice and give them the realization of, oh, that's an opportunity that I can really see myself developing into a millionaire or multimillionaire, then they will be in ignorance. So, for instance, when I was a teacher as well, but I also did a side hustle in my little farm. I had a 1 acre plot, and I was able to, the first time, I did 1 acre of zucchini. That time was a long time ago. I supplied 4 seasons. I was able to make in 2 months, in that little farming expedition I did, project, make more than I did in a year as a teacher. And so that opened my eyes to the opportunities. But then again, I went off to study, and then I went off to advance myself in the legal profession. But I'm saying that you don't have to always have all your eggs in one basket. You can have other activities. You can have other business ventures. And agriculture is definitely one, and fishing is definitely one. Let me give you another example. You may not want to go out into the waters, into the deep seas, because you maybe have fear of water. You've heard about persons being lost at sea. But you could have a boat and lease it out to fishers. Buy a boat, you provide the gas, they come in, but they're supposed to bring in a particular amount at a particular time, and that is a business. Just like how persons lease a bus. They have a bus, but they own a bus, but they don't actually drive the bus, but they lease it to someone else. So again, business opportunities are there in all sectors, but you just have to have the mindset, and I think the education part of it is what government needs to do through its ministry or through the department, and then we'll see a diversified economy in St. Kitts and Nevis.
But I don't think we're getting to that point that we are actually packaging it in a proper manner. And I think that's, for me, that's where the bottom line is, that if we can't package it and sell it with all this big, glorious and attractive covering, then nobody's going to come into it. Yes. But how do we actually get it? Because it's one thing to say, to speak to parents, but how do we get the children who are the next generation of people to understand that you can make a living with this? Because we have a lot of quote unquote unemployment, a lot of young people who are just there, and that might sound a bit harsh.
No, but you're right. Right. Well, let me give you an example. Our corp, the Newtown Fishers Cooperative Society, has two programs. One, we had a swimming program where during the summertime we organized where, well, of course, most of young people from the community can come and learn how to swim. But we also have an opportunity where young people can actually go on the boat with fishers, going out to fish. And they see and they get involved. And you'll be surprised how many young people being in that program decided they want to become a fisherman. I always say that we have to specialize our human resource based on their particular skill set. Yes, we need the private sector. Yes, we need the public sector. But we also need the sectors that is more for persons find skill set. So we need the mechanics, we need the carpenters, we need the masons, we need the contractors, we need the agriculturists, we need the fishers. But it doesn't mean you have to put all your eggs in one basket. That's my point. You have some of our fishers fish during the season, but they also do construction. We have some agriculturists, some farmers who do during the season and maybe farm all the way through. But when they have a project, they build a house, they build a building. And so we have to explain to our people, you don't need to fixate yourself on one particular profession, one particular area. You have your skill set, offer it to the people. It will in turn benefit our country, and you will help diversify the economy. And the government has a role to play. How they're going to do it, I leave that to them. We know how we would do it, but we can't share all of our ideas. But given an opportunity, whether it be in 2007 and beyond, 2027 and beyond, we will do what is necessary. We don't just talk the talk, but we will walk the walk.
Okay, we have to take a quick break, and then we'll continue with the discussion here on Inside the News.
People make the world go round.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Are you tired of constantly having to repaint? Then it's time to level up your paint game with Harris Paints. With Quantum I-12 technology, Harris gives you better colors that last longer and takes less coats. So this Christmas, level up your savings with 15% off 1 and 5 gallons of top quality Ultima Plus available at TDC. Then, with each purchase, play the Harris mobile game for chances to win the grand prize of $3,000 cash. Now that's a level up only from Harris Paints.
Found the sound 98.9 WIN FM.
And we're back here on Inside the News. We're having a discussion with Mr. Craig Tuckett, and he gave us a lot to chew on today. So I'll just give him, because he's a very busy man, so I'll just give him a bit of time to wrap before he goes.
Well, first off, I want to say I am not the shadow minister for agriculture, okay? So I just want to make clear that is not why I'm here. I must thank the management of the WIN FM for allowing me the opportunity to be here on their radio waves. This is actually my first time for this time spot. And so I thank you all for having me here. And I hope I have dispensed some information and some knowledge in a way that everybody can understand and how we can advance our country, especially the fishing sector in St. Kitts and Nevis. So again, I just want to remind everybody, please come out. Next week, Saturday the 25th of November, 2023, starting promptly at 12 o'clock, right there at the Bass Day Fisheries Complex, we'll have the Newtown Fishers Cooperative East Bass Day Fishing Tournament. It's going to be a fun-filled affair. We're going to have entertainment, live and direct, coming from E.K. Wright, Sister Sensor. Also, you have Sparry, DJ Sparry from Hellfire Sound and Small X Band. We'll be having a lot of other entertainment, and it's a lot of eats to drink. It's a lot of seafood and other type of food if you're not interested in seafood, but I know you're going to be. So come out on time right there at Bassa Fisheries Complex, Saturday, the 25th of November, 2023. Also, I would like to say that the People's Labour Party, PLP, is presently having our event at the Boyo Strip. That's right there around the roundabout, just before you enter into Molyneux. We have our constituency number 7 having the barbecue fest right now, and so you all are invited to come out to support. A lot to eat and drink again, dominoes to be played, so I hope to see you there, and that's where I'm heading right now. So I just want to say thank you so very much, sir, for having me. I look forward to be invited again to discuss about other issues as we try to advance the cause for our good people in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Well, it's good to have you joining us, and I know the invitation will be extended again to you and the People's Labour Party.
Thank you.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust to secure your investment. You need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us. TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
People make the world go
round. Well, there you had it. That was the representative from the People's Labour Party just responding to some criticisms and concerns that the public had. Mr. Craig Tuckett, he also spoke a bit about the fisheries sector. And as he said, he's not the spokesperson or the shadow spokesperson for the opposition on the agriculture sector, but he was just weighing in from a perspective of the cooperative and being a representative on that cooperative. He gave us some insights in terms of what's happening in the fisheries sector and so forth. But yes, so we had a busy news week, and you heard a bit. There are a lot of criticisms being leveled at the People's Labour Party's leader, Dr. Harris, surrounding the Citizenship by Investment program. We also heard a bit of that a letter was issued or notice was issued. I'm still waiting verification on that. So Mr. Tuckett said he does not know of that, so he could not necessarily address that specifically at this point in time. But yes, so that supposed letter came from a private sector entity. That was circulating. So we are waiting verification on that specifically. But as we continue with the program here on Win FM, we hear a bit from representatives of the People's Action Movement earlier this week talking about the CBI program and some of the criticisms that they were and the concerns that they had surrounding that program specifically.
In particular to the second part of the question, and that is the lack of transparency and the runaround by the media. As media personnel, you must ask yourself, how is it that you have many statements being made about social security? What position Team Unity left social security in? How well social security is doing now? A statutory corporation, you can get responses to questions about it. Development Bank, a statutory corporation, you have all sorts of statements being made about Development Bank. But CIO, NHC, you can get information about it. But CIO, which falls within the Prime Minister's ministry, you're being told to go to CIO to get answers. You must ask yourself why. Is it that someone doesn't want to give you the answers? And what is it that is being hidden? The media should not accept it. The media is part of ensuring that the public has adequate information. And the media must not accept it. The media must continue to ask for the answers from the Prime Minister. And you must ask him, how is it that I can give you information about social security? You can give me information about social security. You can provide me with information about Development Bank. You can provide me with information about the National Housing Corporation. But the Citizenship by Investment Program, which when it comes to generating revenue for this country, is perhaps one of the biggest revenue generators for the country. And you, as the Minister of Finance, cannot provide me with the answers. But you're saying to me to go to CIO to get the answers. Is the Prime Minister saying to you that as the Minister of Finance, he doesn't know what is going on within that particular department, which brings in the majority of the money into the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? It is no wonder then why things are so hard in this country, because if you don't know what is going on within CIO, then obviously, what you're spending willy-nilly, you just globe-trotting without knowing how much money is coming in, how much passports have been approved. You don't know the facts relative to whether or not persons are threatening to sue the government. The Prime Minister must be aware of the information. And if he isn't aware of the information, more reason why we say that if you lack the leadership skills, move out of government and allow someone else to lead. I will now turn to John.
Well, I don't know if there's much more for me to add to that, but I guess if I have to speak about the structure, the current structure, I would say that we do have some concerns about the actual structure at the CIU. We've seen the introduction of a board at the CIU, and it appears as though every operational decision has to go through the board, and more specifically the chairman of the board. As a service provider, I can tell you we've witnessed situations where rules and procedures just change overnight. You get no advance warning. Persons who have applications pending having to spend money to redo all the documents, redo HIV tests, redo accounting, because somebody at the CIU, for whatever reason, and again, you go back to that lack of transparency, decides, well, we have new rules today, starting the end of the month, this is it. Why? What particular scrutiny is on St. Kitts and Nevis internationally that has caused this government to make these drastic changes so suddenly? The People's Action Movement is not about bringing down the CIU or the CBI or trying to make St. Kitts and Nevis look bad. This is a program which was developed under the People's Action Movement. We're the first in the world to do it. This is something that we are proud of. This is a program that, while in government, we utilized to make the lives of Kittitians and Nevisians better. And so it is disheartening to see that in just a year and a few months, this administration is suddenly under so much scrutiny. Well, based on their track record, if it was something to do with the former administration, they would have been quick to say that. So what is happening? Again, why are these persons complaining that their approvals have been revoked without reason and they can't get back the monies? We need to know these things. And as Sean says, if the Prime Minister does not know what is going on in his ministries, then how can we trust him to not just run these ministries, but run this country? And this is something that seems to be systematic, not just in the CIU and in the Prime Minister's ministries, but throughout the entire government. The ministers seem to be too busy globe-trotting around the world, building up their frequent flyer miles, and are missing what is actually happening and should be happening on the ground here. You know, I was in my constituency recently, and a constituent said, boy, I can't get to see my ministers. They're always traveling, and when they are home, they're jet lagged, so you still can't see them. We need a government and persons involved who are serious about the work that they're doing, who are in a position to advise us as to what is happening, and who we can trust to make proper decisions. You talk about transparency in the CIU, but what about transparency in other sectors? When the government changed last year, we heard a big song and a big hullabaloo about accountability, transparency, corruption, contracts, who was getting what contract and who was making X amount. Let us go to the NHC. We hear about a company from Trinidad getting a contract to build houses at $600 million. $600 million. You do a Google search on East Coast housing and you can't find anything other than the media report in St. Kitts to do with the building of the houses.
People make the world go round.
And we're back. So that was the People's Action Movement. We heard from current representative and leader of the People's Action Movement, Sean Richards, and former government minister and executive member of the People's Action Movement, Janelle Powell, there, speaking both on the CBI and some other issues that they deem need to be addressed and answered, and they criticize the ministers for some of their frequent travels. But yes, so those are some of the major stuff that we've been looking at this week. We know the CIU and CBI program again took up much of the discussions for this past week. Again, from a media perspective, we have been asking for numbers for quite some time, and we've not actually been able to get that. I know there's some talk that a letter would be sent over to the CIU to get the actual figures, if that is possible at this point in time, so that we can probably properly inform the public in terms of the data, how many citizenships, probably how many were revoked, how many passports were issued, and so forth, because I know a number of people have been asking for quite some time for the requisite information, and that has not been forthcoming just yet. But yes, as we continue, I know the media representatives will continue to seek that information for the public in general, because as a lot of callers would say, we don't know what's going on, right? But nevertheless, the phone lines are open. You can call in, weighing on anything that was discussed or any topic of interest to you. Again, we're in the budget season, and the discussions continue in terms of formalizing the actual budget plans for next year and how that will impact you. We heard a bit from Mr. Tuckett this morning. He's not giving anything just yet, because his leader would actually be speaking about that in his presentation when the budget is read next month. And also, some of it will be discussed at an expected press conference from the leader of the People's Labour Party, Dr. Timothy Harris, when that time comes. But nevertheless, we will continue to discuss these and other topics of interest to the public. But nevertheless, we will hear a bit also from Janelle Powell from the press conference earlier this week.
The People's Action Movement remains committed to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and to coming to you with not just issues but with solutions to these issues. All of these matters that we've raised today, we've shown how we have done it better. We've shown that we have the foresight, the capacity to get things done in this country and to get it done properly. It appears as though we have a government that has come into office on a cloud of promises, promises that they just can't keep. Whether the promises are unrealistic or the government is simply inept and incapable of performing the functions of a real government. And it seems as though whenever the people cry out and people speak about the reality of how hard it is here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the government's response is to throw some money at you. Oh, okay, you're going to get a $500 dividend. And then for the next 6 months, you have nothing. Or we can give you Independence 40 money, $1,000. And then what happens? We're now hearing discussions about double salary. But at the same time, we are being told that our main income generator, the CBI, its revenues are down. We know that the next income generator, tourism, where we could see nothing is happening. So are we going to get the double salary as promised? or is the money simply being squandered? Because we have a government, typical of a Labour Party, that believes in giving a man a fish rather than teaching him how to fish. $27 million was given away in September of this year. Every person registered for Social Security was eligible for $1,000, an independence gift. Now, how many of those people are really from St. Kitts? We speak about the merchants at Port Zante, we speak about persons at Central Bank, for example. How many of them are from St. Kitts and Nevis? We then think about the executives, those persons making $15,000, $16,000, $20,000, $25,000 a month. Do they really need $1,000? Why couldn't the government have said, look, let us draw a line and provide $1,000 if you want to give a gift to those who are really in need? And the rest of the money we invest in programs that will train those persons. Programs that will give you skills, that will give you opportunities maybe to open businesses or to capitalize existing businesses.
People make the world go round.
Yes, so that was just People's Action Movement Representative General Powell speaking there and he's basically criticizing the government for its position on the reset and possible double salary for December. And I know a lot of people have grown accustomed to the double salary, which is often seen as a stimulus for the local economy during the festive season, and it contributes a lot to the economy during that period. But as we begin our wrap-up on the program, we'll quickly hear from our partners one more time, and then we'll continue with the program here on Win FM.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Let TDC Financial Services help you go for your goals. Whether you're thinking of taking that grand vacation, down payment on a house, higher education, TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment Starter Plan, and Fixed Deposit. Ready to go for your goals? Visit us at TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
People make the world go
And welcome back to Inside the News here on WIN FM. We have just about 6 minutes left here on the program, and we're looking at some of the major national issues impacting you here in St. Kitts and Nevis. As I say, we go beyond the headlines, we go beyond the news. How are these issues, challenges impacting you? And we try to find solutions that we can best utilize to the benefit of all here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So we heard most of some of the major issues that are there for the past week or week and a half thereabout. We heard CBI criticism. The People's Action Movement had their press conference, and they shared some of the major issues facing the people in St. Kitts and Nevis, one of which was the request for consistent information, and they criticized the government for their position on the CIU and the double salary, as you would have heard in the audio from both Janelle Powell and Sean Richards there. Yes. We also heard that, and I can't confirm, but there is a letter that was making the rounds, basically putting a number of persons on notice, supposedly. We have not yet completely verified that, but it supposedly came from a private sector entity raising concerns about the CIU. And also, we had the issue where a former government minister was found guilty on several charges this past week. So those were some of the major issues locally. Regionally, they continued fighting in continued discussion back and forth between Guyana and Venezuela over their border issue, which was in court this week. Yes, that matter was at the International Court of Justice there at The Hague in the Netherlands. Yes, in the Netherlands. Yes, and then we also saw some international news where the fighting continues in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, and then we also had the ongoing fighting between Israel and Hamas. There, the casualties continue to increase. Displacement of people is now a humanitarian crisis where a number of people are either going without food or they have no shelter over there, and it's really, really becoming a nightmare now as Israel continues with its push to supposedly, quote unquote, get rid of those perpetrators for the October 7th invasion of Israel, while also they're trying to find those persons who were kidnapped and are still being held hostage by Hamas. So yes, those were some of the major developments for this past week here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I mean, there were other issues that were discussed, but those were some of the major ones that we heard this week in the news cycle. Yes, but as I said, the news never stops. Those people upstairs in the newsroom, they have their work cut out. They continue to churn over stories, them and many others, media houses across St. Kitts and Nevis, So, yes. And what we do, we continue to work for you, get you the news and everything that you need to know to keep you informed. Yes. One of the things I always remind people, not because something is not impacting here in St. Kitts or a story did not break here in St. Kitts and Nevis means it's not going to impact you. Keep abreast of what is happening across the world because it has some level of repercussions for us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We do not live in isolation. We live in a globalized environment. Like the Prime Minister said recently, whatever we do, our food comes from a lot of our food comes from overseas, and when the inflation bites upstairs, it will come downstairs. So we will continue to feel it. So whatever happens across the globe, we have to be able to recognize it and see how it's going to impact us both in our pockets and on the table for what we eat. But nevertheless, that was Inside the News for today. I was Jeremy Abel sitting in. It was a pleasure sitting in today. It's a Christmas season, and it's good to have been with you for the better part of the last few months. I would say, for better part of the year, I guess. And next week, you will be joined by Sniper. They're expected to be in here. So it was good being in your company. Do enjoy. If you don't hear my voice, enjoy the Christmas season. Merry Christmas. And have a blessed new year when it comes. That's if I don't see you before. But nevertheless, I'm Jeremy Abel. It was a good sitting in for the past couple of weeks with you guys. Until then, it's goodbye from all of us here at Inside the News.